Bleacher Report released its latest power rankings, and our Chicago Bulls, they fell near the bottom. Fair or foul? Y'all know we gonna talk about it, break it all down, but you gotta hit the music first.
Cognac, gang.
Shot Bulls podcast with the Cognac Boys. I'm Cognac Boy Bobby, and I'm holding it down on today's daily episode. So if you're tuned in, make sure you go ahead and hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. Now, Bleacher Report did his latest power rankings after some time that we have spent during the off season of the NBA season, getting ready for another good NBA season of good basketball, hopefully around the entire NBA. But this Shy Bulls podcast, so we got to talk about where the Chicago Bulls fell. The Chicago Bulls came in at 20th out of 30 teams, so near the bottom half of the rankings. They are just ahead of teams like the Kings, the Blazers, the 76ers, and the Suns, and they are right behind teams like the Heat, Celtics, and the Pacers. Now, the reasoning behind it is they went out there and they said there's a hint of uncertainty around the Bulls thanks to the fact that Josh Giddey remains unsigned. But without any real cap space, the restricted free agent is likely to return. And when he was on the floor with Kobe White, Kevin Huerter, Montes Buzelis, and Vucevic, Chicago had a comfortably positive point differential. That doesn't necessarily mean that lineup will outscore its opponents again, but there's at least some reason for optimism with Giddey's playmaking and plenty of shooting around it. Now, look, it is what it is. It is what it is. There's no way I'm going to sit up here and just make a case for why the Chicago Bulls should be ranked higher when we don't know what the hell is going to go on with a lot of players around this team. We already have a concern when it comes to the head coaching spot, when it comes to Billy Donovan. We know that he's not better than Eric Spoelstra. We know that he's not better than Rick Carlisle with the Pacers. We know he's not better than Joe Mazzulla with the Boston Celtics. But we do believe that Billy Donovan is a solid head coach. Wouldn't go out there and say great. Wouldn't go out there and say absolutely good. But he's a solid head coach that definitely leaves a lot to be desired while watching the Chicago Bulls. And for that argument, I think the Bulls are right where they belong. Now, when it comes to being ahead of the Kings, the Blazers, the 76ers, and the Suns, it's definitely a conversation that we could probably have with this whole type of power ranking and saying that, hey, what about the 76ers? Can they leapfrog the Chicago Bulls if they had some type of update to where we believe that Joel Embiid will be available for the 76ers? I say that is a thing that you can very well consider. But Joel Embiid has been dealing with his injuries. Paul George has been dealing with his injuries. And if those guys do return sometime during the season, I will imagine that team is one of the teams that could rise up. When we talk about the Sacramento Kings, no pun intended, y'all see that they got guys like DeMar DeRozan, Zach LaVine. They brought on Dennis Schroeder, I believe. They are the team that brought on Dennis Schroeder, I believe. Y'all correct me in the comment box on that one. But that's a team that's looking like they are exactly where the Chicago Bulls are. Just stuck in the middle. You know what I'm saying? Just stuck right there in the middle. Don't necessarily know how it's all going to pan out. I like guys over there like Keegan Murray, Zach LaVine, and DeMar DeRozan. I really do. And Sabonis as well. But where it currently stands at, I think the Chicago Bulls are exactly where they need to be. I think the Chicago Bulls do not deserve to be at the middle of the pack that is not going up to 15. I think that you look at teams that are ahead of them, like the Pacers, the Celtics, and the Heat, we got to get a nod to them, at least for right now. The Chicago Bulls, for me, they have to go out there and prove what they're made of. They have to absolutely show me what they're made of. I know that Josh Giddey had a great second half of the season, but how will that impact be felt for an entire season now that he's got his footing under him, now that he's going to have Kobe White beside him, now that we are expecting Montes Buzelis to take a step forward, how will Josh Giddey impact the Bulls win and losses? This upcoming season is going to be a really, really interesting thing that we're going to have to keep our eyes on. So when it comes to these player rankings, I'm not necessarily mad at it. I'm not necessarily mad at it. Y'all let me know how y'all feel about it, but I feel comfortable being where we are right now because the Chicago Bulls, they did not make a lot of moves this offseason. They do have a lot of cap flexibility going into 2026 to where you can get rid of guys like a Kevin Herter, a Zach Collins, and whatnot. And that trade for Lonzo Ball, that trade for Isaac Okoro that included Lonzo Ball is a move that was like, okay, we kind of understand it. We kind of feel it. But how will Isaac Okoro come over here and impact the Chicago Bulls? Yes, he's a lot healthier. Yes, the defense is solid. Yes, he's able to hit the three. But how will that impact be felt on the Chicago Bulls? We have a lot of questions about this team, especially in the front court. What is we know what Nikola Vucevic is. We know what Nikola Vucevic is. And I think that the only way that the Chicago Bulls move up and have some type of confidence placed in them is if you see Montes Buzelis take a step forward. If you see Kobe White take another step and be knocking on the door of an all-star. If you see Josh Giddey go out there, hopefully on a new contract deal, hopefully on a new deal for years and years to come, to see if these guys can all mesh together well enough to where they can surprise some people. That's because it like we got some hope, a little bit of hope. We got a little bit of hope, but hope hasn't gotten us anywhere. It just got us to the play in and got our ass bounced out early by the Miami Heat time and time and time again. So if the Chicago Bulls are coming into this thing and they really, really want to prove themselves, you got to put it on wax. That's just how I'm looking at it. You have to put it on wax. There's nobody going to say, I'm not going to do that. Somebody else could probably go ahead and do that. I know my co-host C-Dub, he's the home of all homers. He would have tried to make a case, but there is no case to be made. There is no case to be made because you can shoot down everything that has been placed out there, especially with some teams with the Celtics, the Pacers, the Heat. And I understand that the Celtics are going to be out without Jason Tatum this upcoming season, but the Boston Celtics, they went out there, they retained Jaylen Brown, they still got Derek White, and you go pick up Anthony Simons. Those are still good, pretty good players, and you want to see how this team is going to pan out in a wide open Eastern Conference. And you got to show respect to teams like Orlando, who has improved, the Atlanta Hawks, who have improved, the Cleveland Cavs, who have, in my opinion, with the Lonzo Ball trade, has improved. As long as Lonzo Ball can remain on the court for them in Cleveland, they should be good to go with that support system coming off the bench and allowing another guy like Lonzo Ball to come in and help do some facilitating, help doing some distributing, and he's still solid on the defensive side. Honestly, I thought that Lonzo Ball was not going to be able to return back to that level. Maybe he may not be there all the way, but it was close enough. It was close enough to where you got some positives out of his season last year, returning from that knee transplant, which is very, very interesting. The Miami Heat, look, I know they ain't make a lot of moves down there in Miami, but hey, they still got Bam, they still got Tyler Hero, and they still got Eric Spoelstra. Whether we want to compare rosters or whatnot, hey, we could compare it all we want. I just know that Eric Spoelstra consistently has outcoached and his players have outplayed the Chicago Bulls in every crucial matchup that we faced them in, which was the last 3 play-in games that we were in. You know what I'm saying? The last 3 times we faced the Miami Heat in the play-in, they whooped us. We got outcoached, we got outplayed. We seen Kobe White not be himself. We seen Josh Giddey struggle a little bit. Yeah, he was the leading scorer on that night, but at the end of the day, it still was not good enough. And Billy Donovan got his head wrung, and it was over with. It was over with. So for the Chicago Bulls to be ranked near the bottom, it is what it is. I believe that is fair. I believe that these guys have to go out there and prove themselves, and they have to show up. They have to show up. I'm not going to sit up here and put a bunch of stock in that. I know where we are right now. I want to see more moves be made, but let's keep it real. The front office are standing pat with what their plan is. They're staying the course. They're not going to, quote unquote, skip steps. So I don't understand how you skip the steps by trying to make moves to your front court. But nonetheless, this is where we are. This is where we are. We cannot expect a bunch of things to come out of this, and a lot of things didn't change. The front office is still there. The head coach is still there. The same damn players are still there. We're going to some way, somehow hope that Patrick Williams comes off the bench and be a better player. Good luck. Not putting no stock in that. And the only hope is that I'm giving in is Montes Buzelis takes a crazy step in year 2. But again, I believe he can do it. But again, he has to show me as well. I love the young kid. I love Montes Buzelis and his mentality, and the Chicago Bulls have been doing a damn good job trying to make him the face of the franchise. But the way you really go out there and grab and become the face of the franchise is not by doing a bunch of interviews and being at the NFL draft lot or the NBA draft lottery. It's not by going out there shaking hands and kissing babies. It's about putting the ball in the basket and saying, I'm here. That's what it's about. That's what it's about. But hey, just wanted to come out here and give you guys a quick little video. Go ahead and talk about the Chicago Bulls ranking and where they currently rank in the eyes of NBA people. Let me know how you feeling about it. Is 20 fair or is it foul? I believe it's fair. Let me know how you feeling. That is it for me today, y'all. I appreciate y'all for tuning in to another episode of Shy Bulls Podcast. Before y'all get up out of here, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and hit that bell. Appreciate y'all. Thank y'all so much. Make sure you always see red. Y'all already know. I'm going to catch y'all on the next one for sure.
Cognac. Gang.